Welcome back to 7997 with your host Chris and Jackie, two black immigrants trying to live our best life in Mexico.
I'm the Jackie part. Hey.
As you can see, we are outside living our best life here at Parque Juarez, getting some fresh air, some sunshine, and just talking about why people might be trying to escape the U.S. One of those big things is government. Obviously, it's a big deal. But
Safety.
I think it's safety, yeah, cost of
Costs.
living, all those things. But I find if like government is part of your reason of why you're leaving, how many of us actually shop for governments? Like actually go and do the research and figure out, hey, I don't like what's happening at home. I want to go to this country because they have this president or they have this type of democracy or type of autocracy or whatever it is you might care to have.
And that was something that I brought up to Chris because when we initiated the idea of moving, when I initiated the idea of moving, and we started looking at countries in Africa, that was actually what we were looking at.
Yeah.
Which was really interesting. We were looking at Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire and Rwanda, or pronounced Rwanda. That's really what we almost, I guess, sort of kind of settled on, really, before Mexico, right?
The big thing about Rwanda is that they, as a country, have had a huge turnaround, like, from the genocide and the civil war they had into where
90s.
they are now.
Yeah.
It's
huge.
Most people regard it as one of the cleanest countries, one of the most well-run countries.
Yep.
But it's also not really a democracy, right? Like, the person who is in charge of the country has been there and plans to be there for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
they're not
been like
replacing
20, 25 years or so?
something. It's been a while.
Yeah,
But like,
and I don't even know if they have elections. I didn't even read up on if they had elections
Yeah.
because all I stopped at was they have excellent health care. They have excellent schooling for their citizens. Which is, you mentioned it being the cleanest country. If I'm not mistaken, it's been voted either the cleanest country or like top 3 on the whole continent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They also are about, teaching their citizens and making sure everyone is up to date on technology, the business world.
They have, I think, some of the most female CEOs,
in the
any country.
world.
So like
they target things to be good and to be well with their citizens. So I'm like, okay, sign me up.
right, and you start comparing that to many democracies that are having all kinds of problems, and you go to another country where there's not a whole lot of democracy, but the person in charge seems to care about the people that they are in lead of. So like, you think about governmental styles, and you kind of brought up in America at least talk about democracy as being the correct thing and the voice of the people, and
but then you have people that act a fool and are allowed to get back into power. And do what they want to do and stay in power. So is it really a democracy?
Right.
Because there is a chart, you know that, right? There's an international chart that they've actually, scholars and leaders in whatever industry that is, but I guess it's world freedom. I don't know. I don't know what degree you go to school for, right? But it's, the World Freedom Organization.
Probably international politics or international government or something like
all
that.
kinds, those people who are studying what's going on around the world. And they've literally ever since Trump got in the office the first time, they were studying it. And if the U.S. was 10th, it went down. And it kept creeping down and going down and going down, and it's even further down. Especially with him not obeying orders, judgments from the Supreme Court. Like, who does that?
Yeah.
Who? You know what I'm saying?
And I think like when we made the move to here, I don't know that we made a lot of insights into the government and how it's run. We did a little bit of research just to kind of get a feel for it, but like also. Like if you're not a citizen, you don't have the ability to participate. Right? You can't vote. You can't, really be a part of what's going on. You can kind of sit back and watch. You can judge all you want to. Yeah. But like at the end of the day, nobody cares what your opinion is because you're not a citizen.
We have no voting power.
So like when I think about that as a reason to leave whatever situation is because you don't like the government, like I feel like we're not necessarily going and searching for another government. We're almost kind of searching for a place where we don't have to worry about the government.
Right. But then that is, we don't have to worry about it until we have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there are other YouTubers who have crisscrossed different countries and things,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just trying to live their best lives,
Yeah.
and doing their thing, and then there's civil unrest.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it doesn't even have to always be, because I think for us, we think of civil unrest. Uh, I don't want to say only brown countries,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like when some kind of upheaval is going on, where there's starvation and sickness and disease, they always cut brown country, brown people.
Yeah.
No, like I remember when I was on my way to Africa. It was 6 years ago. I was trying to figure out my flight pattern, and so from Charlotte, there were like 4 different cities and countries I could go to,
Mm-hmm.
and I was okay, cool. Let me see. Am I going to go to Dubai to do my layover? Or am I going to go to France to do my layover? Am I going to go to England to do my layover? And I literally Google searched what was going on, what to do, like for sightseeing,
Yeah.
because I wanted a long layover.
Mm-hmm.
And in France, they were having civil unrest.
Oh yeah.
They had shut down the Eiffel Tower. So it's like you don't think about it until you have to think
Until
about
it hits your front door. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting
Yeah.
to think about it like that.
Because I can say, like, I've never been the most politically active person in the world. I really, started voting in recent years more so than
Not even
anything
close.
else.
Yeah.
Because I think as the political environment in the U.S. started degrading, I felt like I had to be more involved. Like, I felt like I had to, things were going out of control, partially because I wasn't participating. Like, you feel
Say
some
it.
responsibility.
Go
right?
ahead now. Take responsibility.
But again, when you're in a different country, like, the responsibility of the political climate is not on you. You are, at the mercy of it at the most.
Yeah.
You're a willing, viewer, but you're not a participant.
Right. Right.
So I think, when I look at it now, like, I am glad in some ways that I don't have to participate. I don't have to think about it on a day-to-day basis because it was such a heavy burden to have in the U.S.
Yeah.
And to come here and not have to worry about, is something from the top going to come down and trickle and destroy my life at some point?
But now let's pump the brake on that.
$10,000 in my 401k going to disappear overnight because of somebody's
But
talking
that's what I'm
on
about to
TV.
say. Pump the brake on that because what happens in one place, there's a ripple effect, and we just don't know where the ripple's where we're gonna get that impact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But specifically, you got the U.S. doing all these sanctions and tariffs and things like that, and just acting a plum fool, right? We're neighbors. We're literally neighbors, right? So we share the same continent. We're neighbors, but then at the same time, we are all international neighbors, right? So that next Amazon order, you know what I mean? What's going to happen? Like, are we going to get? Is it going to impact us? Since let's say we're ordering from Amazon Mexico, will we get tariffs? Or tariff,
I mean,
like
there's
if
already an importation charge,
right? But you know,
even before the tariffs.
Is it going to be extra because?
Probably.
But Mexico isn't the one imposing tariffs to China. It's America. So if we order from Amazon Mexico, are we going to get a heavier tariff?
It just depends where that product is sourced from.
You think so?
So, like, things that we order in Mexico from the U.S. are going to be subject to whatever tariffs Mexico has put on the U.S.
But I mean directly.
But we can also get things directly from China to Mexico.
Correct.
And skip that.
Yeah. So we could benefit from being here.
Yeah.
Right. But to your point,
we can still get Temu in Mexico.
Temu.
I think y'all might have a pause on Temu in the
and
U.S.
Sheen.
If you want, low price, poor quality things from China. That's always an option.
I say it like that. But it's just so interesting.
Yeah.
Just how are we going to be affected? How are we impacted? But to your original question, are we thinking about those things before we pull the trigger?
Yeah.
And go get visas and go get residences and all of the thing and pack up and sell your stuff all while we thinking about the next country where we're going. Is it stable?
Yeah. And like the best you can do is think about the near history, where it is at this moment in time. Where it might be in the future is a whole different thing. Like, I don't know that anybody anticipated the U.S. would be in this place 20 years ago. I'm sure there's plenty of people that have come to the U.S. and be like, American dream, and I love it, and then they're in an environment now that's probably something they did not plan for.
Right.
So I think the best you can do is do your due diligence from what's available now, what you see in the recent history.
Yeah.
Talk to people on the ground who have some sense of what's going on.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, it's always a bit of a gamble. Like, you
Yeah.
never know what the future may hold in any realm, whether it's government or financially or what have you. So, you do the best you can with the knowledge you have, and you make a decision based on that.
Right.
Hopefully, it doesn't blow up in your face.
My God, my God. Hope it doesn't blow up in your face, my Lord. I know one thing though, I'm praying for all of us because we all in the same boat. This thing is about to get live and live in color, and I am startled at the amount of trauma, drama, and just wrongdoing that we're putting up with and we're allowing to happen. Whether you are a lay person like we are, a lay citizen, and just not participating, not voting, not doing anything, all the way up to the folks who are in Congress, who are in the judiciary, who are in power. We all have power. Somehow we have power.
In large or small form.
Yeah, literally. And so it's shocking. It's shocking what's being allowed to happen right now. And I'm just praying for all of us, all of our safety, and that we're in the right place, the right time, doing the right things
with the right
people.
And on that note, we will see you guys next time. As always, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, please
We'd love to hear your feedback. For those of you who have maybe moved from country to country, whether it was politically or government driven, we love to hear those stories. Like, how do you kind of feel in your new home and your new country? Do you feel like you need to participate? Are you, really active in government in any way that you can be?
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing we kind of like to hear from you guys.
Yeah.
So as always, become a member.
Share.
Buy coffee, share, do all those good
Buy
things.
taco.
A
vegetable taco.
We will see you guys next time.
Cuídate.
Arias Garce, take care and take a chance.
Cuídate.
Peace, guys.